Sometimes I try to remember what life was like before YouTube, a time when we, the community, were scattered across the vast expanse of the internet in the early 2000s, trolling through Newgrounds or rather good.com in an attempt to find the next indescribable video wedged somewhere between stream of consciousness and animated acid trip.
When Mario was riding on the back of Yoshi the dinosaur, Luigi said, no Mario, it looks like you are bumming him, and then Mario did not ride the Yoshi again, even though he really wanted to.
But then YouTube leans in and tells us that we are mistaken, and that we've always been the caretaker. I can't remember exactly when I saw YouTube for the first time, but I think a classmate showed it to me in a computer lab during my second year of college in 2005. And even all the way back then, I knew that I was witnessing something amazing. For the first 2 years of its life, YouTube, with its Wild West sense of freedom, still did have a few rules in place, the main ones being no porn and no real-life gore. I don't think they were so hot on terrorist content either, but beyond that, you could pretty much do what you wanted. It wasn't until 2007 when YouTube started giving select content creators a way to make money from their videos did the fun police really start having a field day. Record and film companies were not going to sit idly by while content creators freely used their intellectual property. Now, we're supposed to be protected by a thing called fair use, a law that says we can feature bits of copyrighted material as long as it is considered transformative, something that ends up as a distinctly different piece of media from the original content which was used. Take for instance a movie review or a video essay. The problem is, fair use is so vague that it is very much open to interpretation and most definitely doesn't stop companies from copyright claiming YouTube videos, whether they are transformative or not. YouTube's copyright claim system has long been criticized for being utterly and completely broken. They have made steps to try and amend the absolute stupidity of the whole thing, but after more than a decade in place, not nearly enough has been done. Whether it's Warner Brothers copyright claiming a naked Jakey video for using 4 seconds of a Wham song, or Alinity copy striking everyone because her parents didn't do a very good job raising her, YouTube's copyright claim system is quite frankly f***ed.
Yo! Can we copy strike PewDiePie's latest video? Like right now? He called us Twitch thoughts.
I'm going to link a video in the description by Radel for some examples of how ridiculously easy the copyright system is to game. Saying that, I'm not actually here to discuss such things. No, I'm going to have a look at 2016 to the present day in what I like to call YouTube's age of morality. 2016 was the year of the adpocalypse, an incident where a bunch of YouTube's advertisers had a hissy fit over one particularly edgy PewDiePie video, and YouTube, having absolutely no spine, started making a whole load of new rules that limited how much money one could make from their videos if they weren't considered advertiser-friendly. If you ever wonder why YouTube went from a chaotic wonderland to the nanny state which it is now, it's because all they really care about is their advertisers. Think of YouTube like a pimp, the advertisers as the client, and us, the content creators, as the whore. And let's be honest, it's in Daddy's best interest to keep the client happy and that money rolling in. Let's start by having a look at YouTube's policy on naughty words. I think it's amazing that I've yet to find a swear as strong as cunt in any other language, a single word that will bring polite society to a screeching halt when said. Anecdotal evidence suggests that it's a word that YouTube isn't super happy with people using. They do state that if you use the N-word or the F-slur, then it will demonetize your video, but that does make me wonder what they do about all those rap songs, because, you know, most people are fine with black folks dropping the N-bomb, right? Can YouTube tell if we're black? A few years back, Anderson Cooper threw a wobbler over Alec Baldwin using the term cocksucker as he deems it a homophobic slur, and while I see his point, I would argue that I don't think of motherfuckers as people who fuck mothers. YouTube seems pretty loose with asshole. That didn't come out right. It's a curse word that I frequently forget is a curse word, and I completely missed censoring 3 instances of it in my last video. They don't like you saying fuck in the first 7 seconds of your video, which I do not understand this really bizarre rule that they brought in. What difference does it make if you swear in the 5th second of your video versus the 20th? It does seem like you can say the word fuck uncensored through your video and not suffer limited monetization, but if you say it too many times, it may have consequences. Thanks, YouTube, you made that real clear. One of the worst decisions that YouTube made was when they decided that the majority of its moderation was going to be done using AI. Because of these robot motherfuckers, I don't think I'll ever be able to monetize because they can mess with your ad revenue from just using normal words. Even though I do it for swearing, I absolutely refuse to censor any regular word that you would see if you picked up a newspaper. No one knows exactly what words will mess with your video's monetization, and it has caused this unfortunate trend where there is no weight to serious words like murder or suicide or rape or pedophile because content creators have to use euphemisms instead. Well, you know what? I like being able to openly talk about Hitler Crab fighting the Mr. Pringles tank without fear of monetary penalization. Fight videos used to be really popular on the platform, but they made it so that anything to do with street fights got demonetized, and I do understand why they did this, as it mightn't be the best thing to give monetary incentive to fuckheads who might decide to pick fights with random strangers. I did watch a lot of fight videos on YouTube back in the day because it's just something you wouldn't normally get to see. There were these really enthralling videos where two guys would fight for a cash prize in someone's backyard, and they frequently featured the behemoth, which was Kimbo Slice. It was fascinating watching this absolute unit of a man eviscerating opponent after opponent. I don't know what it was about him that was just so mesmerizing. Maybe it was his bulging muscles or the bombastic personality or the fact that his monk-like haircut and beard made him look like someone's dad. As much as I understand YouTube wanting to rein in videos containing real-life violence, the entire system falls to shit because, that's right, AI moderation. I recently watched a documentary about Bam Margera and all the cool shit that went on in his house during the 2000s. A lot of the stuff involved skateboarding, and anytime someone had a particularly nasty slam, they censored it. It feels really fucking weird that you have to censor someone falling off a skateboard because a multi-billion-dollar company, instead of hiring extra human beings, are using robots which, let's be honest, are kind of shit at their job. As vague as YouTube is about demonetization, it gets even worse when they try to explain what content will get your channel banned. I highly recommend watching this video by Marcus Jones, who makes everything a lot clearer. Enabling dishonest behavior. Are you fucking kidding me? YouTube is absolutely rife with scam ads. A few months ago, I did a video focusing on the abysmal state of how ads are handled on the site. One of my sections looked at all the scam ads I had collected, with a surprising amount of them claiming to be endorsements from Elon Musk when they clearly weren't. I want to show you a clip of a video I came across last month.
You gave me 4,000 micrograms. You told me it was 4,000 micrograms of LSD. Why did you do that to me? Well, it wasn't. You're an adult giving federally constricted drugs to a child. Do you still do that? Do you still abuse children?
This came up as a fucking ad. Now, obviously this could be a joke, but there isn't a hint of humor in the almost 3-minute long video. The guy filming, who claims this man gave him LSD as a teenager, gives his so-called abuser's full name, states where he works, and the address where he confronted him. When you look at the description of the same video within his channel, it reads like the delusions of a paranoid schizophrenic. Now, the fact that this ran as a paid ad at the end of All My Life by Falling in Reverse, proper good tune by the way, it tells us one of two things. Either YouTube doesn't have human beings checking what ads they run, or they do have human beings, but they care more about money than motherfuckers getting doxxed. The biggest problem with YouTube's rules is that they are vague and way too open to interpretation. Rules only work if they are clear and easy to follow. If your dog poops in the street and you don't pick it up, you will get a fine. This is a simple instruction, clear and easy to follow. You not being allowed to repeatedly target, insult, and abuse an identifiable individual based on their intrinsic attributes across several uploads is not so clear. Leafy's here got his channel terminated for making a bunch of videos on Pokemon because it was considered harassment, yet Jack Douglas has a side channel that at one stage was used exclusively to make fun of the low effort and utter dog shit videos of SS Sniper Wolf, which by the way you should check out because they're kinda great. I'm not saying one is okay and the other isn't, but how does YouTube decide when criticism ends and harassment begins? Sex and nudity have always been a no-no on YouTube, but in recent years they have started to allow nudity under certain conditions. By the way, I found this great passage under the rules concerning adult content. Under the section of dance, it says that videos won't be monetized if they contain daggering moves where one partner roughly thrusts their genitals into their partner's genital regions. This reads like an accountant attempting to write mommy porn. YouTube's hot button issue when it comes to nudity is that it is not sexually gratifying, and channels that upload such content may get permanently deleted. Seriously, how in the Sam hell can you define if something is sexually gratifying or not? I mean, what if I find this picture of a woman eating a burger sexually gratifying, or that look that Miss Spider gives me, or even from the way the Cadbury's Caramel Bunny says,
"Looks like somebody else could do with some."
If. I said if. Shut up. Okay, there's someone I know personally that got their YouTube channel terminated. He made a 2-part video showing how long it would take to see 100 unasked for penises on Omegle, a website that throws you into a video chat with a complete stranger. After he recorded the footage, he pixelated all genitalia and faces along with age-restricting the video, so you had to be over 18 to watch it. The video did reasonably well and stayed up on YouTube for about 4 years with no problems. Then, out of nowhere, his account gets suspended. The only reason given was sex and nudity. No strikes, no warnings, and after 2 unsuccessful appeals, the guy lost his channel. Concerning this sex and nudity problem, the only reason YouTube lists as to why a channel would get terminated with no warning is in an extreme case of someone uploading sexually gratifying material. Now let me ask you a question. Who, in their right fucking mind, would consider a video of a man watching pixelated blurs of other men playing with themselves while awkwardly attempting to provide a humorous commentary as sexually gratifying? And I wouldn't even mind so much, except there is a fuck ton of videos of women in very see-through clothing in a genre which I like to call titty bait, and in some of these videos you can see full-on pooner. How did they get away with it? Every single one of these videos comes with a generic disclaimer stating that they were in fact not made with the intent to be sexually gratifying. And look, I'm not a prude, I don't mind that this stuff's on YouTube, it's just why do they bother making such stringent rules about this stuff when the rules are so easy to circumvent? Also, as a side note, there is so much foot fetish content on YouTube, and no, I am not going to explain how I know that, no more questions. One thing that does intrigue me is the fact that far more feet videos are age restricted than the titty bait ones. Assuming it's the YouTube robots age restricting the content, how do you think an AI determines how much feet is too much feet? And yes, I have a bone to pick with YouTube's AI minions as they age restricted my last video, a pragmatic and balanced discussion on the dangers of drugs and the ridiculous nature of anti-drug propaganda. I'm guessing it got flagged because it had the word drug in the title. It doesn't matter that drugfreeworld.org is the web address of an anti-drug organization. This right here is one of the biggest problems with YouTube's little helpers. AI in its current state doesn't seem to grasp the concept of negative statements. All it seems to be able to do is consider each individual word regardless of the context of how it's being used. It's almost like they have an army of really well-trained dogs running their video streaming platform. The really unfortunate part of channel termination is that it gets you banned from YouTube for life. You are not allowed to run or register a new YouTube channel ever again. The problem with this policy is that it doesn't allow for human error either on the side of the creator or the YouTube moderator, assuming that there is in fact some human beings out there doing this job. It doesn't matter if you hadn't realized you'd done something wrong or that if you're sorry. YouTube does not give second chances, and this Old Testament God style of vengeance does nothing but create a community of disharmony and fear. If you've ever wondered where my channel's name comes from, it's because of my mum. Hello, Mother, I hope you're well. Several years ago, in an attempt to describe my personality, she told me that I was a cactus. Cactuses are beautiful, she said, but they're spiky. I know that I'm going to get banned from YouTube eventually. I will either say or do something to piss off YouTube, and that will be that. One of the most frustrating elements of YouTube is that the rules are constantly changing. One of my videos, which is currently considered an opinion, might be considered harassment or hate speech in 5 years' time. Even though YouTube has become a husk of its former self, I still love it. I adore the unadulterated creativity of the many, many people that contribute to the site. If YouTube doesn't stop treating its content creators like second-class citizens when it comes to advertisers, it will eventually destroy itself. I really hope that I don't get banned, because then I'll have to go over to TikTok. And I know the first thing that I'm going to want to do is make fun of the Chinese government, and not because I particularly want to make fun of the Chinese government, but you know when someone tells you you're not allowed to do something? Fuck it. You want to know something about the Chinese government?
It shall crush capitalism in all forms and make glorious regime that last 1,000 years. All hail Chinese Communist Party and the Great Republic for which it represents.